Good morning.
Hey, how's it going, Jim?
Good.
Good morning, Jim.
Nice day today.
Good to
Nice.
see your face,
Katie,
Dave.
good-
How you feeling?
Oh, fine and dandy.
Good. That's a good place to be. I hear someone making noise. How's it going, everyone else? How's your week going, Jim?
Okay, we talked about Lenten music, and I haven't got any new Lenten music, but there's a half a dozen songs on the Walker Singers list that might be nice. If you
Oh, great.
want something, I thought that the prettiest one that's here right now is the one that Jim Feldman posted, "Salvation is Created," which we sing at Christmas, but it's an anytime song.
Great. Well, maybe we wanna play that like right at 11 today.
Okay, I was going to say if you want to have something like that, well, let's post that as last song for that. It's
Yeah,
really
once
beautiful.
more people get to enjoy it. That sounds good, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll change my little settings on here so that you can share screen.
And
Good to see you, Howard. I don't see any birds or hear any birds.
Oh, you will.
Oh, I will. Oh, good. Wouldn't want to miss out on that.
all I need is to have people start giving me requests, and I'll be ready.
Nice.
Happy Lent, number 60, sitting on the dock of the bay.
Any requests? Hello? Requests?
Do
This light of mine.
you have one in there if Wojcik is in the background? Can you pick one by artist? Anybody there? Oh, boy.
We're all mute. Everybody's mute.
I think that was a no, David.
Well, somebody push a button over there. Play anything.
I don't have the thing in front of me. How about,
The wait, do the wait.
yeah, oh, well. Not feeling the power. No, I mean your fat.
Put the Lord right on me. I picked up my bag. I've been looking for a place to hide.
So this is the Walker Church Singers. This is what's left to us. They take these.
Just hold it and see it.
Yeah.
Side
Come on, let's go downtown. She said, well, I got to go, but my friends are sitting around. Take a load off Benny. Take a load off me. Take a load off Benny. He put the load right on me. Take a load off Benny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Benny. You put the load right on me. Crazy Chester followed me, and he caught me in the fall. He said, I will fix your rack if you'll take Jack, my dog. I said, wait a minute, Chester, you know I'm a peaceful man. He said, that's okay, boy, won't you feed him when you can? Take a load off Benny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Benny. You put the load right on
Hard Times.
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears, while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. There's a pale drooping maiden who toils her life away, with a worn heart whose better days are o'er. Though her voice would be merry, 'tis sighing all the day. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. 'Tis a wail that is heard upon the shore. 'Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. While we seek mirth and beauty and music bright and gay, there are frail forms fainting at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading looks still say, oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
Diane has requested 56. Let it be.
Find myself in times of trouble, wondering
This is the last request. Anybody have a request?
Yes, the Dillon 140, is it 6? You ain't going nowhere.
Not so swift, the rain won't lift, the game won't hold, the railing road. Get your mind off the winning time. You ain't going nowhere. Hurry, right behind. Tomorrow's the day my ride is gonna come. Oh, we gonna fly down in the easy chair. I don't care how many letters they send. Morning came and morning went. So pack up your money and pick up your tent. You ain't going nowhere. Ooh, ride behind. Tomorrow's the day my bride is gonna come. Whoa, we gonna fly down in the easy chair. Buy me a flute and a gun that shoots. Tailgates and substitutes. Ah, strap yourself to the tree with roots. You ain't going nowhere. Ooh, ride behind. Tomorrow's the day my bride is gonna come. Oh, we gonna fly down in the easy chair. Clearing that, right? Now Genghis Khan, he could not keep all his kings to fly with fleet. We'll climb that hill no matter how steep. When we get up to it, ooh, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day the bride's gonna come. Oh, we gonna fly down in the easy chair. Ooh, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh, we gonna fly down in the easy chair.
All right. Good morning, friends. Welcome to Walker Church, where our mission is to nurture spirituality, build caring community, and work courageously for peace with justice and mercy. Blessed be to each and every one of you. We've got 38 people, or households logged in, and multiple of those people have doubles in there. So it's good to be with each and every one of you this morning. Al, do you want to lead us in some opening time?
Welcome here, my relatives. It is a thrill to be with you this morning. I've been under the weather all week, and I am happy to be surfacing. Welcome here, where as you take stock of the direction you're facing, it's easy to find the pull of gravity, but where's your sun rising? Where's that east? Keep that in mind as we are all welcomed here on this molten hearted Gaia, and where we are here in the shining radiance of Sol and the reflected light of Luna. Here where we are between the Southern Cross, way out there, and Polaris, and all the way out and all the way in, this extraordinary mystery, a mystery which pours forth this endless ocean of discoveries along which we get to walk in this lifetime, occasionally noting that some of our footprints have washed away. It is a delight to see the virtual light in this screen that comes from behind your eyes, that light that is of your essence, of your spirit, of your divinity, that light that is where we are all on this planet, where we are all one. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Al. It's good to be with you again. I'll say that this morning. So we've been doing something recently where we have a reading, a meditation, and then a little bit of time of silence. When we're all in person, it tends to be a Lao Tzu reading. And we've just started bringing this back to have a little bit of meditation time, but it's been challenging to figure out how to translate group meditation time to the online setting. So we'll have a reading that Victoria is going to read, and then we'll have some minutes of silence. But in the silence, I'll be playing a song just on my computer, not live. But we'll have a song in the background. So if you're someone who likes to have a little bit of music as you're centering, you can listen. Otherwise, you can turn it really quiet or mute. That's just fine on your own device. And it's just to give people who come in late a little bit of something and not just walking into silence. So Victoria, would you mind reading for us?
Absolutely. So this is a poem by Rabbi Rami M. Shapiro. There are moments when wellness escapes us, moments when pain and suffering are not dim possibilities, but all too agonizing realities. At such moments, we must open ourselves to healing. Much we can do for ourselves, and what we can do, we must do. Healing, no less than illness, is participatory. Even when we do all we can, there is, often, still much left to be done. And so we turn as well to our healers, seeking their skill to aid in our struggle for wellness. But even when they do all they can do, there is often still much left to be done. And so we turn to life, to the vast power of being that animates the universe as the ocean animates the waves, seeking to let go of that which blocks our healing. May those whose lives are gripped in the palm of suffering open, even now, to the wonder of life. May they let go of the hurt and meet the true self beyond pain, the uncarved block that is our joyous unity with holiness. May they discover through pain and torment the strength to live with grace and humor. May they discover through doubt and anguish the strength to live with dignity and holiness. May they discover through suffering and fear the strength to move toward healing.
Let the words from your lips come forth, speaking life where death has silenced voice. Into the empty lungs fill with air, restoring hope in a world bound with despair. So we say, breathe on us, fully immersed in your spirit, inseparable from your deep love. Oh Father, breathe on us, fully surrender to your grace as we come to seek your face. Father, breathe on. Father, breathe on. No regard for what it cost. You chased after us when we were lost. When empty islands driving seas, you turn our chaos into perfect peace. You turn our chaos into perfect peace. Breathe on us, fully immersed in your spirit, inseparable from your deep love. Oh Father, breathe on us, fully surrender to your grace as we come to seek your
Ding.
Thank you, Al. I thought you actually got the chimes this time.
They're upstairs. I just realized as we were starting. I
Well,
did-
we like your verbal chimes.
I decided to participate rather than run around.
Run away. That sounds good. So I'm curious, what are people bringing to the table this morning? What are you wanting to celebrate? What are you bringing? What is on your hearts this morning?
I have a concern. My friend Mary Pat, whom some of you know, is really in desperate straits. She called me last night on panicking and crying. She's got a condition where her tongue is burning, so she needs to get some kind of surgery probably. So maybe keep her in your prayers, those who know her.
What's her name, Tony?
Mary Pat.
Pat. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. I saw that, how does, I don't know, remember how to say her last name. Is it Ann Hammer? Ann Hamra?
Ann Hamry. Ann
Ann
Hamry.
Hamry. She's also in the hospital right now. She posted on
Really?
Facebook about it.
Oh, sorry
So I
to
mean,
hear that.
she's clearly okay enough to be posting on Facebook about it, but if there's people here that could reach out to her or know her, well, that'd be good to check in on her.
I have good news to report. Tomorrow, Diane and I will be rolling up our sleeves for our vaccinations.
Woohoo!
That will be up in Fort Pierce, a 20-mile drive. But that's a lot better than what the other possibilities were.
Yeah, that's great. I see Casey has something next too. Thanks.
Yeah,
for sharing.
see, on the bad news is that my 8-year-old grandson has COVID again.
Oh no.
Yeah, so like 4 weeks ago, he had it. The whole family had to quarantine. Nobody else got it. And now they have to go through all that again. This is Alex, Ren's boy, Diane and Conrad. So they'll be, I'm glad they got their house sold and got all that over with before they had to go through COVID again. And on a brighter note, I get my second shot on Thursday.
Woo! Yay! Man, people at Walker are really on top of the vaccination game. I'm very impressed. Make sure you take care of yourself. I heard that second one can, depending on the one, can feel not so great.
Got my second shot and lived through it yesterday and fine today.
Woo! Good.
So thankful.
Barbara and Greg, you got a hand raised too?
Yeah, I've had both my vaccinations, and so I'm
Boom.
supposed to be semi-immune at this point.
Yay! Semi-immune is better than not immune. We'll take it.
Party, party.
Party, party. We need good ways to celebrate. Yeah, then now all the vaccinated people can have a party together. Just have a big, almost, hopefully no COVID party. Little dance and singing party. What else are we celebrating? What else are we wanting prayers for and thoughts for today?
How's Wayne doing, Ed?
Yeah, Wayne is doing okay. He's through it all. In fact, he replaced the rainbow flag that had tattered out on the church corner. So we're flying it free again.
Yeah, it was starting to look like a pretty rough pirate flag go through battle on the church. So that was great that Wayne was willing to do that and had that energy. So
I also wanted to mention that a few churches, well, maybe Walker can decide at some point how to respond to the Derek Chauvin trial. There possibly people being tear gassed or clubbed. They're anticipating problems along that line, and I wondered if Walker could become a shelter, have some wet washcloths and water available and so forth.
medics.
Medics, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great comment, Greg. Actually, so the trustees were just talking this last week about some of the, on the one hand, the security aspect and making sure the church, like if things get crazy again, like they did last summer, that the church is protected. But then on the other hand, yeah, what kind of usefulness or sanctuary could Walker be? Since the uprisings began in May, we have been a storage space for the North, oh man, what are they called?
North Star Health.
Yes, thanks, Victoria. North Star Health, and our new employee at Walker, Mags, is hopefully going to come and talk to us next Sunday a little bit about North Star and a little bit about, from her end, some of the food distribution stuff going on at Walker. She's our new bookkeeper and our food distribution coordinator for Tuesdays. And so hopefully we'll be having some more of those conversations, both through talking to the trustees and also the, there's going to be another we're calling it the all hands meeting, which is when every group that is currently actively using the Walker church space will be having a meeting, and they're moving into directions where there will be better communication between the groups and moving in the direction of more conversations about how these groups can be supporting Walker, how Walker can be supporting these groups. And part of that conversation Thursday will be about what's coming up and about security and about what any of those groups are doing to prepare for the trials and things coming up this month. So thanks for bringing that up. Those are good things to be thinking about, and there are people thinking about it. And if you are interested in being a part of the groups that think about that, you can let me know, because I'm sure that there will be a working group coming out of the all hands on deck meeting. And so if you want to be a part of that working group, you can let me know.
I want to mention that Wally is going through a depression right now, and I would ask for prayers for him.
Thank you, Sally. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a hard thing and all too common right now. It's a hard season. Thank you for sharing.
All right, I was kidding about having parties. There are indications that we can still carry the disease, even though we've been vaccinated. So still be careful.
Still be careful. Yes. Yes, of course. We also, I just wanted to bring up too that Jim sent out a call for Lenti music. And it doesn't have to be sad music if you don't want it to be, just things that you're thinking about this Lent season. If you have poems or other readings or performances or songs, or even if it's a song, not a song that you wrote, we can, you could share something and just talk about why it is meaningful to you. We are talking about speaking of in-person stuff, we're talking about doing something available in person Palm Sunday and Easter that would probably be outside, and masked and social distance and outside. And so if you want to think through how it is we could do that in a safe way and in a meaningful, fun way, you can let me know. It could be just like a Palm Sunday march around Powderhorn Park or something. But if you have thoughts about that, that's good. And you can send any music or things to Jim McCreary.
Ooh.
Dave, do you have something to share? Oh, maybe not.
Right. No, not really. I just things are going good. I look a little rough, but actually my biggest fear is actually going out and catching a regular old cold or flu right now. I'm not even afraid of COVID as much as I am just running myself down. I went back to work last week, and the rat race is still on. So that's my message for the day.
Yeah. I also want to, when it comes to announcements, I just wanted to let you know, maybe Victoria, I don't know if you could pull this up, from the Walker website, but that there is an event this afternoon online. The Powderhorn Park Guitar Project has been utilizing Walker's space for some safe indoor space. They've been using the Walker facility, and so they're doing a Walker fundraiser today, this afternoon, online. So you could show up to this free music performance online, and all the donations will go, or I guess I don't know if all the donations, but it's a fundraiser for Walker, so I'm guessing all the donations will go to Walker. So if you want to just show up and listen at 2:30 today, or if you at least want to share it, like if you want to, text a friend who likes music and you don't think is doing much this afternoon, or share it on your Facebook or something. Yeah, that'll be this afternoon at 2:30, and we'll get the link on here so that you can.
May I throw in something about Latin music?
Sure.
I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm happy to be a facilitator for people who want to come through me to provide music. But if you want to do it some other way, that's fine too. Send it to the office or send it to anybody. It just happens that I've figured out how to make YouTube work, so I'm one of the resources.
Yes, if you don't want Jim to see what you're sending or something for whatever reason, you can send it to me or the office. That's true. But yes, thank you for that willingness, Jim. And Jim, you stepped up and did some extra help this last week on Tuesday. How did that go?
I discovered that I'm 75 years old. Alina and I went over to the grocery place, which Ed usually has been doing over the time. And I got there and they said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm from Walker Church." And they said, "Oh, you're doing it for Ed." So he's evidently got a reputation. But anyway, Alina and I filled up the back of our pickup truck, but she had to really do the heavy lifting after a while. It's hard work. I'm happy to do it, but I can't do it alone. I'll always need to have someone with me.
That's just a good wisdom for life, Jim. We should always have someone with us, that's for sure. But thank you for doing that. Yes, Ed does good work with that every week, and we don't know how he could ever do it by himself. So we hope to have extra supports for you, Ed, so that, because I don't know how you're able to do that, but I know that both Alina and I, when we've done it, get very exhausted and very hungry. So
Barbara and Greg have their hand up.
Oh, that's just a lingering hand up from earlier times.
When does Ed do his thing?
It's for the Tuesday mornings when picking up the St. Vincent de Paul food for then our Tuesday distribution, as you are well aware.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
I'll
blessing
get in
for
touch
me.
with Ed.
I enjoy being able to do this.
Yes.
Actually, I've just discovered that my daughter will help me do it this Tuesday if we need to have that done. So
Oh, nice. Yeah, Olivia seems
if
excited to
I
be
have
helping out
somebody young and
too.
strong like Olivia, then it's easy for me.
Yeah, she's really a rock star, that Olivia.
So you can put us down for this week if you want.
I'll connect with you also, Jim. I may be able to help, being I do the Tuesdays, the actual distribution. So my Tuesday mornings are starting to free up a little differently. So I may be able to be of some help this Tuesday.
Yeah, we're working on getting people to be able to help from and learn from Ed. So if you just let me know if you're interested in it, we can have a conversation about it, and Ed can help give more instruction and what would be helpful to him too. So we'll talk about that, but thanks for your willingness. Anything else we want to pray for or celebrate this week? Everyone's doing okay. It's good to see everyone's faces and plants. I see Steve's got a lot of cool plants up there. I don't know if Steve Cobian's got a lot of cool plants that are in a nice frame. Yeah, those are nice. That's great. I just got some people are good at propagating. I'm not very good at propagating plants, but I had a friend propagate her spider plant, so I'm working on that. So let's see. So we've got, we're into the Ash Wednesday thing now. We're into the Lenten season now, which is, kind of, I remember last year I said online, and apparently it got shared by quite a few people. I feel like I was like internet famous within the group of my friends, within like maybe 50 people. That last year I said that it was the lentiest Lent ever. And I got a lot of messages from my friends saying that they used that phrase later. So I'll have to trademark it. But I definitely think, even though I thought last year was the lentiest Lent ever because we started into quarantine right at the beginning of Lent, I remember having some Mardi Gras cake and a Mardi Gras latte over at Lynn Hall with my aunt Patty, and she said, well, what are you going to do about this global pandemic happening? Or she said, there's a pandemic coming for us, and like, what are you doing to prepare your church for it? And I was like, I'm not sure exactly what I know I've heard that this, entered New York City, and we can all kind of remember now the way that all communal traumas you are, where you're like, I remember where I was when I first realized this was going to be bad, or when the shutdown happened. And I was sitting with her at Lynn Hall, and she asked me, what am I going to do with my churches, with Walker? What are we going to do to prepare for the pandemic? And I hadn't really thought about it. I had said, like, I don't know, I'll buy some extra hand sanitizer, I guess. And so then when I got home, I got on Amazon or some, whatever got on the website somewhere to look for hand sanitizer, and it was out everywhere, right? Oh, Dave, your screen sharing. Stop. You got to stop sharing the screen. There you go. So I remember that happening, and that's when I got kind of that creepy feeling down my spine that was like, the world is out of hand sanitizer, like something bad is about to happen. So now we are, a year in, and it feels like this is probably the lentiest Lent ever, because now we're in the middle of having been through a year of pandemic life. It feels like just a year of Lenten energy, of challenging emotions, of a lot of struggle and pain and loneliness and suffering in lots of ways. So it feels appropriate, especially, and I do kind of feel in some ways like this Lent to Easter transition might feel more epic, because by the time we hit Easter, with the weather being better and more people being vaccinated, it might actually feel a little bit more like Easter after a very long Lent this year. So scripture I wanted to read this morning, as I'm thinking about some of the theme we're talking about over this Lent, is dealing with big, challenging emotions, dealing with our emotions in general. We started a feelings book list, a growing feelings book list, how it is that you name and deal with your feelings, what helps you do that. So that was on our Wednesday email. And if you want to add to that, there's a Google Doc that has that as well. But when I was thinking about feelings, I was thinking about how in the Christian and faith world, often when we talk about feelings, it's there's a lot of repression when we think about feelings in the Christian world. Like, not only do we have a culture in the US where we like to not talk about feelings as much unless it's super positive. We talked last week about toxic positivity. And I was realizing that one place where I heard about that phrase is, I'll post the podcast here, but it's from a woman named Susan David, who does a lot of work on, she's, I think, like a psychologist or some psychologist / scientist person around the realm of emotions. And she talks about toxic positivity. And I think not only is that a problem in our culture, but also in the Christian faith. And there's a couple of places where I think it's interesting to read in the Bible about emotions, because when we start to quote different scriptures, things that say like, oh, don't get too angry, like don't hate your brother. And we think, okay, I need to just repress my hate, repress my anger. There's other scriptures that we can explore that show Jesus and other people having emotions, expressing emotions. And one of them, the shortest scripture in the whole Bible, is this 2-word scripture that is just Jesus wept. And that comes from this story, a story of Lazarus, when Jesus' friend Lazarus dies and he is in the tomb. And then there's a pretty long story leading up to Jesus raising Lazarus again from the dead. So it says that Jesus arrived where, this is when Jesus is showing up to where Lazarus was, where his sisters are. And Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. And when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. And Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she replied, I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. After she'd said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house comforting her noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Where have you laid him? He asked. Come and see, Lord, they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him? But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? So what I think is, what drew me to looking at that is thinking, well, this is one of the few scriptures where people see someone weeping, or where Jesus, Jesus wept, where Jesus is having strong emotions. But in reading this, I noticed that there's a lot of other feelings here. Specifically, it feels almost like some passive aggression or some just straight up anger. When Mary, both sisters say to Jesus, if you'd been here, my brother would not have died, which feels very accusatory and a little bit, and a little bit passive aggressive, more than a little bit passive aggressive. And we see that there is some blaming going on about Lazarus dying, and a lot of complicated emotions of people judging what Jesus is doing and what is happening here. So I think it's really important for people who have any sort of faith background, whether it's Christian or Jewish or Buddhist or whatever. I think there can be a lot of religious practice that makes it feel like we should be seeming at peace. We should be perfectly happy. We should be feeling neutral. We shouldn't feel attached to our feelings. And maybe we can move, maybe some of those directions are good or ideal. We want to move towards non-attachment. We want to move towards letting certain things go. We don't want to, our goal is not to be super mad all the time at different people in different circumstances. But the fact is that it's important for us to notice our feelings and practice feeling our feelings, because if we don't do that, they just live inside of us and build up and can cause a lot of physical and emotional problems for us. And one of the big issues with that is a lot of us don't even realize we're having feelings, especially men. I think men are not taught to that it's okay to have feelings of any sort, maybe except for anger. Women are often taught that you are not supposed to feel anger. And so often it comes out as sadness or anxiety. I remember one time I was at a meeting in my Rochester church, and there was a man at the meeting who was actually a pastor. He was a retired pastor. So someone who I would think is more emotionally intelligent. And I tried to affirm and name something he was saying. He was getting pretty passionate and a little bit emotional and sharing some frustrations. And so I was trying to affirm what he was saying. I was saying, thanks for sharing. I understand you're feeling blah, 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 blah. And he said, it's not what I'm feeling, it's what I'm thinking. Like what I shared is not about what I'm feeling. It's not what I'm feeling, it's what I'm thinking. And it was interesting to hear that from him because it revealed so much of where he was coming from, where he was not willing to acknowledge that he had emotions involved. He was saying he was objective, and that if the more objective you are, the more right you are in certain situations. People often stereotype and say, like, if you're too emotional, that you're not thinking clearly, that you're hysterical, and that has often been a persecution for women in general. But I shared in one of those books on our feelings list, the Dance of Anger book, there's an interesting section which talks about often when we're in family systems, emotional, we have partnerships of some sort, whether it's brother, sister, husband, wife, friends. Often we are able to outsource our feeling work, especially over years. So if you have noticed or seen in yourself people who've been married for a really, really long time, sometimes you notice that one of those partners is basically becoming more and more silent, and the other partner is getting louder and louder and louder. That can be either partner, but I think a stereotype, often it's like the women you'll see, if you're seeing like elder couples of people who've been together for 40 years or something, a lot of the time kind of based on just the people who were living in World War II and stuff like that, the silent generation. The silent people tend to be the men, right? And then the women get more and more talkative. And that actually is the way that our relationships work, and the way we process feelings is that we have the ability to outsource our feelings. So if you have a really close relationship, if they are being really dramatic about something, we actually subconsciously are able to outsource that emotion to them. So sometimes it's trying to keep us safe. So let's say you're with your partner and you name something challenging that you feel like you could be upset about, but they just explode about it. In a lot of ways, it feels safer to just let them explode about it. They're getting to express your emotions, and then you get to be the calm, cool person judging them, or you get to be the calm, cool person saying, no, it's okay, it's not a big deal, when actually you're talking to yourself, right? It's a little bit complicated, but it's really interesting. It's also just an interesting way to unpack the reality that just because someone doesn't look like they're having feelings, or just because you don't even think you're having feelings, you are still having feelings. It's interesting that we live in this culture that doesn't want us to have super strong emotions, especially in Minnesota, where we're not supposed to express anger at each other. We're supposed to just be kind of, say things nicely, even if we might be saying something mean, but as long as we say it nicely or with a calm tone, that's preferable to saying something that's not saying something with a loud tone or something that rocks the boat in one way or another. It's interesting that we live in that kind of culture that doesn't want us to show emotions, but then also is shoving advertising and things down our throat that is based entirely on our emotions. Because the fact is, we cannot make even a decision about what kind of butter we want to buy at the grocery store unless we're using our emotions. The emotional part of our brain is what helps us do everything. I was thinking about this because this week I was at Mall of America mall walking, which I don't recommend. I had heard from a friend that it was okay place to mall walk, but people be crazy at Mall of America. It did not feel like a good COVID safe environment. But I was looking at a wall because everything at Mall of America and at malls now today, like everything is an advertisement, right? And I looked at a wall and there was this big picture of a new flavor of Mountain Dew, and it's a bright pink flavor. It's called Major Melon. And on the big poster, it had that, and I don't drink Mountain Dew. That's not a thing in my life. But what caught my eye was not only that it was this big pink visual, but that on the top it said life-changing flavor. Right? Like our emotions is how they sell Mountain Dew, because you're not going to sell as many Mountain Dews if you're just like, it tastes good. You sell Mountain Dew by saying this will change your life. Literally drinking this melon flavored sugar drink will change your life. To be fair, it probably will change your day. If you drink that much sugar and caffeine, it probably will change your life in maybe a way that might not be preferable. So I think during this Lenten season and just throughout our life, it's good to to name that we have emotions, notice that we have them, and then practice expressing them in a way that is actually helpful and good to us. One thing I think about, and I want to ask you about this week, is whether, do you have a go-to emotion? Because that actually has been really helpful for me when it comes to understanding and expressing the things that are going through my head and my heart and my body, is recognizing that my system's way of dealing with emotions is by deciding that there's one emotion that is the safest for me. And then in every situation, when I start to feel anything, it goes directly to that emotion first. So for instance, in my body, sadness is not a safe emotion. I've never felt comfortable crying in front of people. Most of the crying I've ever done in my life has been in a car by myself. I even remember I had weird moments where I remember crying in the car as a teenager, because you're always crying about something as a teenager, right? But I remember my parents were driving, a parent was driving, and I was able to basically cry out of my right eye. Like I remember feeling only a tear down my right cheek because that was not the visible side from the driver, right? Like our bodies just do weird things when we're trying to repress and feel safe. And so the emotion I go to first is anxiety or like fear, because I figure my body has decided that sadness isn't safe, but fear is. And so if I'm encountering something sad, it just feels anxious. So the other day I woke up in the morning, and I'm a very hyperactive person, and I don't need Mountain Dew to make me a hyperactive person. And I woke up, and the first thing I felt, which has often been the case my whole life, is I just feel adrenaline. Like I wake up and I think, oh, there's so many things I have to do today, blah, 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 blah. They call it monkey mind, or, it's like you look calm, but it's sort of like a duck on the water. You look calm, but like the little feet are like going really fast. And I said, I don't want to start my day this way. So I tried to kind of look within, and I've been trying to do this kind of practice more regularly. And so as you get better at these mindful practices, I know a lot of you are into meditation, and this is where you notice things first. And it worked. It doesn't always like work for me, but it worked this time where I looked inside, I kind of visualized my being, and I was like, well, where am I feeling this adrenaline in my body? And I got a visual. Like I felt like in my lower left or kind of mid left rib cage, it was like this airbag being like inflated and deflated, sort of like an airbag / punching bag that was like pulsing. And I was like noticing that is where my adrenaline lived. And even just noticing that this lived in a certain place in myself. It wasn't my whole being. It felt like my whole being was consumed by adrenaline, but actually it was just in this place in my middle lower left rib cage. And once I was able to identify that, I can look at it, be objective with it, and decide what to do next with that. So we're continuing to, practice and name emotions in this time. I'm not sure if that's a helpful practice for you, but it's something to offer. I'll give you this website is Susan David. She has an emotional agility quiz. And in this time when all of us are dealing with a lot of trauma, we're having complex trauma, which means you're being re-traumatized over and over again as you're experiencing it. Super fun. That's what's happening with COVID right now. Our adrenaline has been spiked over and over again, and things aren't letting up. It's good to explore and name and be present to how you're feeling. And I'd love to hear, have any of you had this experience where you have a go-to emotion, and what's been your life unpacking that?
It took me a while to arrive to the awareness of it, because being raised through the 50s as male, I thought of myself as very intellectual. And I started co-counseling in the mid 1990s. And in the subsequent years, I'm still very active in my work through participating in co-counseling now. I call it my core distress is the absence of love. And sometimes it's senseless, sometimes it's just stripped out absence of love. I don't know where it comes from. It unlocks grief, a well of grief that I continue to process. Grief.
Thank you for sharing that, Al. Yeah, that's some good emotional wisdom there. I see Emily here says, having a heart centered in love and compassion, if I can get the other emotions out of the way with my breath. That's good to come back to that center. Yes.
The last few years, I have found that humor and laughter and joy is the emotional place that I go to. And there are times when laughing is not appropriate, but it's become my first response.
Yes.
I started to say that fixing something, if there's a problem, I'm supposed to fix it. That's true, but there's something deeper, and that is a fear of abandonment. It goes back to age 4, and I'm like with Barbara's overdue on one of her walks. It's an anxiety thing more than a fear thing, I think, but definite fear of abandonment, because that's way, way, way young, 4 or 5.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, it's amazing that we don't get to like change, what happens to us in our past. We're in the same bodies our whole lives. And so, yeah, that stuff can stick with us, and it's good to be aware of when, if you've got a long time fear, you can start to kind of befriend it and be like, okay, I see this again. Yep. Thanks for sharing, you two. Does anyone else have go-to emotions or ways that have been helpful for them to feel things?
Well,
Alan
I'm
here.
gonna share that I have like when fear and anxiety, it's like I become like obsessive compulsive. And that's when things really get out of control. And I always find that dealing with, well, fear is fear, and that can be a good thing. I mean, if you sense danger, either from experience or just, you know, you can validate that there's a risk involved, then the rest of it is the anxiety is dealing with the issues, being able to think through whatever, you know. It's something I never had as a tool as a young man, because I in an earlier reincarnation, I mean, I did a lot of drinking and self-medicating, just being a teenager and young and not worried about the past. But you know, today I have to question seriously, you know, am I talking to the right people? Am I asking enough questions? And actually, you know, examine why you feel fear, because making decisions out of fear is never a good idea. I mean, you have to find some neutral ground. You have to find the positive aspects and decide whether those things are real, you know, to ask, you know, or just a delusional state of being. So I think this is a huge, I feel people are getting very anxious just because the temperatures went up like 30 degrees. You know, it's not sub-zero temperatures this week. And when March comes along, people get anxious. You feel it, just, you know, waiting for spring and the rebirth of summer and all that, all those other joyous feelings that come along with it. I find winter very repressive, you know. I mean, it's just to be out there cold and freeze to death isn't an ominous feeling. So, and very uncomfortable. That's my ditty. I'm gonna chill here.
Thanks, Dave. I heard you had something, Alan.
Yeah, there's two things that happen with me with fear. One is I start movement. If I feel fear, you know, much like an animal in its cage, when it senses danger, it starts to pace back and forth. You know, and I start moving, and then I start like, what can I straighten up? What can I move around? What can I do? And so it spurs me into actions. The other thing in terms of coping with some of that fear is music. And usually it's just drawing tunes into my head that I've heard throughout my life, something that makes me connect on a different level. And that brings me down to where I can take the movement and turn it into positive actions.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Alan. Jim, did you want to show off a baby there? And then also, Howard, did you have something to say? Was that you waving? Oh, I see Steve and Howard is still muted. Steve, what you got?
Yeah, well, I think anxiety.
Oh, there's two Steves.
Two
Sorry. Steve Sandberg, then Steve Cobian.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Anxiety is something problematic for me too. And I, you know, find myself getting in this loop of trying to intellectually think my way out of it, which doesn't work at all. And so one thing, I had a friend who just had this expression, and she'd talk about something that bugged her, and she'd just say, "Who needs it?" And it just seemed to work for me sometimes too, when I just recognize that, you know, going into this loop is totally counterproductive, and just, you know, throwing it aside in that manner. So I'm not totally expert at it at all, but it helps me sometimes.
Thanks, Steve number one. Steve Cobian.
I think it spoke for me. Plus, it was mostly about the baby and thinking, you know, how can I have anger when I look at a cute little baby face like that? But, so I just wanted to, that's mostly what I was acknowledging. But I think that's, well, that's just really a positive thing. But as far as anger or crying, when it's raining out, it's such a wonderful time to go for a walk and then to express that feeling and the lightness that comes with that. The other thought is these feelings, what do you think is the most powerful? The thought, the word, or the action? Well, it's the thought, that's the essence of it. It may not be in the court of law, but that's where it's coming into the essence, the intuitive, the self. So I think it's wonderful to be mindful of who we are. Okay, I'll pass to the baby or whoever's next.
No, baby, me before the baby.
You before the baby.
My go-to emotion is snark, and my life is all about trying to develop healthy expression of irony.
That is a very good wisdom. I like those. Yeah, being able to step back and look at what's ironic in a way that's prophetic rather than just bitter snark. Yeah, although snark can be very entertaining. Nancy?
I'm not sure what my go-to emotion is, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe others would be better able to identify that for me than me. I guess I would like to just follow up on what Steve Cobian said about the baby. Like it reminds me about like how if you look at a baby, it teaches you a lot about your emotions, like when they're sad, they cry, and then nobody picks them up, and then they start screaming and they get mad, and then, they get listened to or picked up, and then they stop crying and they smile, and like that helps me think about my emotional state and accepting, and or when that doesn't happen, like what I just described, like can I take care of it or not, and how do
Yeah, and that's a great way to look at a lot of, therapists and stuff. We'll talk about inner child work, and that's kind of part of that, because a lot of the stuff we deal with is when we have unmet needs, and then, yeah, it does follow that process of being a baby or a child. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Nancy. Jim?
Yeah, my go-to emotion is anger, and my coping mechanism is confusion.
Yeah. How does confusion help?
Well, when I'm confused, I can either take the time to sort through what it is I'm angry about, or I can just walk away. Not always successful, but.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like curiosity too. Yeah. Like when you're confused or just saying like, hey, I guess I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
About inner child work, John Bradshaw wrote a series of books on inner child work.
Thank you. Well, let's look at Jim McCreary. Do you want to introduce anyone to us? Do we want to we can just listen?
I think I'd like to introduce Elaine. She's why I'm not paying much attention to all of the first emotions. But Elaine brought her parents over to our house for breakfast this morning.
Oh, thanks, Elaine.
And there she is.
What a cutie.
She's been doing pretty well. And while I was sitting here at church, Olivia suddenly brought Elaine in to join this. So this is Elaine's first time at Walker Church.
Oh, welcome. We're so glad. Our new youngest friend.
4 months old.
4 months.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Big, strong head.
Oh yeah, she's doing really well.
Yay. Congratulations.
Yeah, she's doing great. Well, I'll turn it off before she makes some noises we don't want to do.
So I guess I'll just ask, do we have any birthdays today? This week? Oh, I see Barbara and Greg waving. Is that to the baby? You, Barbara? Barbara's birthday? Yay.
I am 70 today.
Today, you're 70 today. Howard's face is amazed. This is wonderful. 70, Barbara, so exciting. Any other birthdays? It's hard to upstage that, but it's like a golden birthday where it's like today and 70. Yeah. All right, as many people unmute as possible. We need a raucous birthday for Barbara. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Barbara. Happy birthday to you. Many more.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
The zoomiest birthday you've ever had. So good. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. You're welcome to hang out and chat and stay on if you like. But have a very wonderful week and stay warm.
Walking today at 3 for anybody interested.
Walking today at 3.
And a nice day for it for a change. Oh, boy. I always love seeing your smiling face, Al. You have this tone to your speaking voice that just has such a natural calming effect. It's really a gift.
Wow. Oh, thank you.
Are there any roles out there for ogres this year?
What was that?
Oh,
I said, are there any role playing, any roles out there for ogres?
Ogres.
Or sleeping gnomes?
You better write that. You better write that play.
Oh, yeah.
I think laughter is a wonderful piece of therapy if you can do it. And share it. I think sharing laughter is probably more important than being able to laugh is one thing, but sharing it is immensely contagious. Steve, any other comments? Get your microphones on. All right, guys, have a great week. I'm signing off.
Thanks, David.
Bye, David. Thanks.
Oh, should we just say goodbye?
Hey, Alan found an ogre for you.
All right. Yeah, look at that. All right. Quiet fun. Don, what you doing over there? Don looks frozen. I can't hear you.
There we go. That's a picture of me back in the late 90s. I worked as a personal banker at US Bank, and it was Halloween. And I dressed up and actually helped people open loans and everything looking like this.
Wow.
I love Halloween.
Don,
Steve, what was that saying your friend said? Who needs it?
Yeah,
Who needs
you have
this?
to. Yeah, that's it. You have to say it with force and
I still have the
conviction.
nose.
Seems like if you put shit on the end of it, it'd be more forceful.
You're perfectly welcome to adapt it however works for you, Don.
Okay, I think I'm going with that.
As you can see, I still have the nose.
Wow. That's cool.
Have a good week, everyone.
All
My mom wants me to X out, but I'm refusing. I'm irritating her. You can leave, Mom.
Steve, are you going to be home today?
Yes, unless I go for a walk at 3, but
I might swing by and pick up a poster from you. If not, I might meet you at the church one way or the other. I might gotta talk to Kathy, see if she wants to do the walk as well. So one of the two places.
great. Okay.
Super.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. Love you all.
I guess Lou forgot to. Are you there, Lou?